Alright, well, it's been a while since I've made a Warframe video, but here we are. I'm gonna turn this off. I don't need a hand cam for Warframe. Basically, we're gonna talk about two things. First, the Boar, but also dual stat Rivens. I want to preface this by saying that if you don't have a dual stat Riven with a viral for your Boar, then I don't think this gun would be worth using over the Torid, because I mean, I might show it, but the damage comparison with and without the dual stat mod is just, it's night and day. But anyways, um, so a couple weeks ago, I came across moug, I don't know whatever his name is, his video on his Tenet Galaxion, and towards the end of his video, he showed a build off with a dual stat Riven. I just like this one. That had Toxin and Cold on his Heat Progenitor Galaxion. And that got me thinking, because, I've been using the Torid and I've been getting bored of it. And I could be wrong in saying this, but I've also noticed that it doesn't really scale very well into higher levels. So I was trying to think, like, what other guns could benefit from having a dual stat Riven. Then I came across the Boar, which is similar to the Galaxion, because with the Incarnate adapter, it does heat damage primarily. Actually, no, only heat damage, sorry. And if I could get a viral Riven, then I could probably have a similar effect as Galaxion. So, I found this Riven, bought it for like 115 plat, I think, something like that. Probably wasn't worth it. I don't know, but I mean, I got to make a video out of it, so I guess worth it. I don't know. But basically, I kind of not copied it one to one, but made a very similar build to his Galaxion build. So, I mean, if you haven't seen that video, fucking watch that video. But this build is very similar to his. It's just, obviously the Boar is a shotgun, so you build your shotgun mods. But I have three different builds. Crit, status with fire rate, status without fire rate. To show, to kind of show how strong this weapon can be, and why I think that if you do have a Riven like this, it would be worth using over the Torid. At least if you do content that's over like base level steel path, because I mean, base steel path the Torid will do just fine. I mean, let's be honest, it's the strongest weapon fucking by far. At least for, like ad clearing and all that shit. So it, like, there's no benefit using something stronger unless you're going up into the higher level stuff. But also, I don't really do higher level shit, so I can't say for sure that this weapon will last much longer, either like compared to the Torid. But just from the testing that I'm able to do, I feel like it could. It's just, I don't know. I also think that my builds aren't perfect. They could probably be better. Like, okay, one thing I'm gonna say now is, if you have Shotgun Vendetta, use that, like, 100%. Only reason I'm not using it is because I'm fucking broke and I don't have Max Rank Vendetta. But if you have it, I feel like the build would be, all these builds would be way better. But because I don't have it, I'm just using Merciless. But yeah, anyways, this is the first build. This is what I see, like, most people building, or you're saying Torid. Most people building their Boar. Just crit. Also, it's important. Take this. If you're building crit, take this evolution. These two don't really matter, but these are what I'm using. But for this crit build, I'm using this evolution. But yeah, this is the build I see most people building it for their Boar, and it's probably most similar to most Torid builds. And it's pretty effective. I mean, you'll see it can kill. It'll definitely kill. Maybe not as fast as the Torid, maybe. I mean, I think the Torid will kill a little bit faster, but it still does plenty of damage. Like, it was just clear. Right, and obviously, the Boar has less shots than the Torid, so, like, obviously you run out of ammo quicker. Obviously, you saw how quickly that killed. So yeah, that's the crit build. I don't think that build will last very long. At the higher levels, it'll probably fall off pretty badly. Could be wrong. Could be right. I don't know. So the second build, this is just pure status. Fucking don't worry about crit. Same Riven and everything. It's just all into fucking status, and then with some fire rate, because it just, I think it kind of needs it. Yeah. And then also make sure if you're doing status build that you change to this evolution. I don't think this is really used for anything, but this is, so you basically need this because if you look, 288% status on the beam, so that's pretty important. This is the build that I feel like most people should use over crit, because I feel like the crit just doesn't, it kills, but it's not, it won't last very long. I feel like it's not very effective. So if you're doing like any amount of survival or disruptions, then it's just, I don't know, I feel like it's just not worth it. You better have a status build. But yeah, so here's this build. It shoots way faster, obviously. But then the upfront damage, obviously, isn't that great. But then once you start building up heat procs, then you can see like just the damage on this thing. Still runs out of ammo pretty quickly. That's pretty common with the Boar. But the damage it does, it's just, it's insane. It just does so much status damage. Like if you have stacks and everything built up, you'll see in missions, you'll do like 1,000,000 damage heat procs. It gets pretty insane. That's the build that I feel like most people should use. But this build, which is probably the most powerful build that I have, this doesn't have fire rate built in. This build you would use if you use like a wisp or fucking arcane tempo, whatever the arcane is for fire rate, or it's like just get your fire rate basically anywhere else. And this build will completely out damage like all the other builds, or both the other builds. Like the amount of statuses you get and also the damage, it just does way more. This build, okay, so right here what I have is without a Bane mod, and then obviously I don't have mod space and I don't feel like formatting this shit again, so like obviously put this here, if you can fit it. But it doesn't directly increase damage. It just increases like DPS and AoE, so you don't, it's not mandatory to show off the damage, but if you can't fit this, fit that. But this is the Baneless setup, and then if you do want to use a Bane, then replace this with, you know, cleanse, whatever, and then just put, oh yeah, let me use this. I just don't want to form this again, like I said. And then, again, I said it before, but if you have this, use Vendetta. It's just, I feel like, I'm not entirely sure, but I feel like this would just be way more powerful, because that multi-shot just sounds absolutely insane. Yeah, anyways. We're going to switch to Wisp just for fire rate. I'll show the build without the fire rate buff first, just so you can see. Shoots much slower. This is the kind of damage it'll do without fire rate. Still does, I mean, very good damage. Honestly, I don't even really know if you need fire rate. Your proc buildup is still insane. Damage is still insane. I mean, you can see. Right. Then, if you add fire rate, which, I mean, really add fire rate to anything, it'll do way better. But like, let's see, the heat status, it just stacks like high as shit, and it just does so much damage. And this build right here is like, it's like the final, it's like the Torid, but fucking like infinitely better in my opinion. And again, use this evolution. But yeah, I mean, those are my board builds. If maybe you can mod just viral on its own, like without the dual star Riven, and it'll have the same effect. I don't know, I haven't tested that. But I mean, as you can see, this build just does insane heat damage. And I think would scale pretty hard, or can scale pretty hard, at least compared to the Torid. Like, you don't really see people running Torid for like disruptions or like endurance content, right? But I think this can last. This does pretty well with disruptions. I tested it a little bit, and it can kill, but you know, it's not other one-shot weapons or whatever the hell you use. I mean, it's a status weapon, so you know, that's just how it goes. But yeah, those are the builds. But I kind of wanted to I want to quickly talk about dual stat Rivens and the potential that they might have. So obviously, And in fact, I'll show you. Um, without the dual stat, this weapon kind of falls off. I'm not gonna lie. Um, like the amount of damage it does, it's just so like you see it, right? It's not absolutely abysmal, but like the difference it makes is having that extra viral or that viral on that Riven makes a massive difference, right? Like it's just so it's basically unusable without the Riven. So I kind of get this feeling that like having a dual stat Riven is actually primarily toxin cold for viral. But having a dual stat Riven for like really any weapon could potentially be maybe not a god roll Riven, but like the next like a pretty big upgrade to a weapon. Like most of the time, people, they want like what, crit damage, crit chance, and multi shot on their Rivens, which I mean it makes sense for crit weapons. Fine, that makes sense. But like for other like status weapons or like endurance weapons, that kind of stuff, I feel like those stat Rivens could be something that's kind of overlooked. Like it's currently, like it's like no one really thinks of dual stat Rivens. And the only reason I thought of it is because again, moug's video on his Galaxion. But right now, it's definitely like an underrated uh like aspect of Rivens. Like everyone, like I said, everyone's just going for crit damage, crit chance, and multi shot. And you see fucking Rivens for thousands of plat just because this is that. But then this gets overlooked. Like I have one for his video inspired me to get one for my Galaxion. And I've rolled it a few times, but I can't get viral. I get magnetic. I've gotten, I think, radiation, I think. And like this build is like his build. Except obviously this isn't viral, but its effectiveness is so much less. Just because it's magnetic. But I mean this isn't terrible. It's just like if this was viral, then I could take it like anywhere, just like the Boar. I take it anywhere. Just run with it. But yeah, I mean, I think just to like bring it together, I guess I think dual side Rivens should be, I guess, looked into because like I turned this weapon into a fucking like nothing burger, and it made it pretty fucking strong, at least in my opinion. Like I mean, like base without it, I think the board kind of just did nothing. Maybe that's just my fault for not building it right. I don't know. Yeah, that's about it.